So your high school son, your teenage son is smoking weed, but that's not all. Your husband is also smoking weed and he's your son's supplier. What are you supposed to do? Well, let's talk about that today on Tips on Teens. My name is Kent Toussaint. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I specialize in helping kids, teens, and families live happier lives. I lead two organizations, Teen Therapy Center and the nonprofit 501c3 organization, Child and Teen Counseling, both here in Woodland Hills, California. Every Wednesday at noon, I jump on to Facebook Live to answer your parenting questions. Let's jump into today's. My 16-year-old son smokes marijuana. My husband supplies it to him because he would rather my son get it from a safe source rather than on the street. The problem is he's smoking all the time. My husband smokes too. I feel it's getting out of hand. How should I handle this? Thank you for your question. It's probably more common than you may realize. Marijuana is rampant through our society. Some people think it's great, some people don't. No matter where you stand on this, this can be a problem. Excessive anything can be too much. And some of you right now are thinking, wait a minute, Kent. Marijuana, it's not that bad. It's weed. Let's not blow this out of proportion. It's not heroin. And you are right. It is not heroin. But it's not broccoli either. I think we have to keep in perspective that just because it's not this horrible thing of heroin or cocaine, it's not necessarily healthy for you either. The situation with this right now is you have your husband who's condoning it and supplying it. So this is not necessarily a parenting issue at this point. It is a relational issue between you and your husband and what you guys feel is appropriate for your son. Now, if your son is smoking weed all the time, he is going to be impaired all the time. And what do I mean by that? So if your son and your teenage son, your son and your husband, smoke weed together and they're high together, they're having a great time, several hours later, they both sober up. Your husband's brain is probably pretty much back to normal because it's more of an adult brain, it's solidified, it's not done developing. Your son's brain is not done developing. So your son's brain is still going to be impaired for the next 2 or 3 days, even though he doesn't feel high. It's going to impact his ability to learn, adapt, emotional regulation, to remember. Memory is a big issue. Another thing that people overlook is extended marijuana use during adolescence can lead to schizophrenia later in life. It's not guaranteed, but it definitely increases the chances. There have been study after study after study that show this side effect. So it's really important that you and your husband talk about this. Now, maybe that your husband has a dependency on marijuana, and people say, you can't get addicted to marijuana. Of course you can. It's not the same addiction as it would be to cigarettes or heroin. You're right. But there's still definitely an emotional component to this that's not being addressed. Someone who's smoking every day is avoiding their own internal processes. Just like if you're drinking every day and getting drunk every day, that's a problem. If they were drinking as much as they're smoking, would you have a concern with this? You might. Now, again, alcohol and marijuana are two different substances, but there are a lot of parallels here that I think need to be addressed. I think the first thing you do is address this with your husband, maybe do some couples counseling to focus on what's going on here, because your son is not only being supported in his smoking, he's being supplied by his dad. Now, his dad may be right. His dad may be getting him better quality weed. He's still smoking weed, and that is a concern. Now, if he was smoking, he smoked once a month at a party here and there, it's not an ideal situation, but it's probably not going to impact him in a great grand scheme of things. If he's smoking every day, multiple times a day, that's a problem. He's not able to cope with life. He's not able to remember what he needs to remember. He's not able to learn. His emotional capacity is stunted. Back to whenever he started smoking weed, that's when his emotional growth stopped. And when he stopped smoking weed, that's when his emotional growth would start again. So if he started at 14, let's say, and he's 16, emotionally, he's still 14. And if he's still smoking until he's 21, 22, he's still emotionally kind of 14. And that's why you want to address this. It's a big topic. Again, I think this is really more a focus of between you and your husband to get that straightened away, because once you get that straightened away, then you can deal with your son. But as long as your husband is supplying and supporting his weed habit, I don't think there's much you can do. I wish I had a better answer for you. This is a tough situation and not an easy thing to deal with. Make sure that you're getting your support, even if your husband is not willing to get involved in this. Anyways, thank you for your question. Again, my name is Kent Toussaint. I'll be off the next 2 Wednesdays, so I'll be back on, I think it's July 12th or 13th. I'm blanking on the day, but I'll be back that week for Tips on Teens. If you'd like me to answer your question that week, you can email us at tipsonteens@teentherapycenter.com or direct message us right here on Facebook. We love your questions. Again, my name is Kent Toussaint with Teen Therapy Center and Child and Teen Counseling, and hope you guys all have a great, wonderful, and safe 4th of July holiday. Bye-bye.